G'day everyone, Jason Nunn, Fisherman's Warehouse, Tuckerwell, Barks Point. This Friday's fishing report. Today, of course, is the first day of Interclub out of Port Stephens, and as we speak, there'll be a lot of competitors on the shelf. And of course, we've got this easterly set which is going to happen over the next few days. High humidity, coastal showers, possibility of afternoon thunderstorms, and around about 10 to 15 knots of east to northeast for the next few days. And of course, tomorrow, a coastal competition in conjunction with New South Wales Interclub this year, which is a port to port, which we'll have an opportunity to fish, in fact, out of Swansea here. So look, a lot of fishing happening. Some results from last week. Obviously, we had the Garmin shootout at Port Stephens. We had a touch of luck, I believe, and we were able to get the heaviest marlin, or actually what is now known as the most meritorious capture, a 219 blue on 37 kilos. So the crew of Running Bear, which I was involved with, so fantastic. We were very, very happy. I didn't know we had it till the end, but I suppose that's fishing. But there's a lot of very big blue marlin around at the moment, and one of the highlights from last weekend was the amount of big yellowfin out there. Some big yellowfin all the way up to Sea Rocks canyons, and I think by now these yellowfin will in fact be off the back of our mid canyons and down towards our southern canyon. So there will be a few guys getting out of the lake this weekend and heading wide. My tip is to probably try to get out there around about 500 to 800 fathoms. That's where that band of fish tended to be. There was lots of bait, flying fish, there was frigate mackerel, of course yellowfin, and blue marlin. So things looking very, very good for the next few weeks for our game fishermen. If you're going to fish on these inshore reefs, a lot of surface activity. Stacks and stacks and stacks of bonito now. No real big size, but there's just oodles of them. They're mixed in with those bonito, of course, a lot of frigates and quite a lot of tailor. If you're going to fish the reefs, there's been a few nice snapper getting caught. I did see a photo this week of a beautiful one that got caught up towards Port Stephens, but I reckon these inshore reefs between Newcastle and Catherine Hill Bay will still be producing some very, very good trag and some nice reddies. And of course, there are quite a few kings around, but not a lot of size of them. The highlight of this week, I reckon, locally, has been the improvement on our beaches at the present moment. We have seen an abundance of tailor start to turn up, and there's some beautiful fish all the way along, right up through to Stockton. Some fish are varying. One of the boys dropped a fish off yesterday, fantastic, around about 1.7 kilo clean. That's a fish off the beach at the present moment. So guys have been able to get a mix of fish, but we're seeing some beautiful flathead, brim, and of course the odd salmon. Now, what is happening, and probably the focal point with the channel behind me here at the moment, this fresh water that we've been getting has really started to move these fish out. We're already seeing a lot of flathead move down through the estuary now, spread out onto the breakwater and along our beaches. It's due to the amount of water we had. Normally, we would see this happen through March. I know we're very close, being the 25th today, but they're actually on the move early, and we've already started to see those brim start to build on the beaches, and they'll move into the estuary as these travelling fish start to move through. A lot of squid in the estuary at the moment. The normal haunts, we talk about it all the time, the drop over and Murrays, but there's a lot of areas in between this that you'll get them, and of course you will still get a few squid in Swansea Channel. There's a few kings at the bridge, no size, again, look, those 60 odd centimetre ones, and again there's been some reports of a few cobia being getting caught along our coastal areas, and even as far south as basically Sydney. Some brim, whiting still on the flats. Whiting is starting to get a little bit slow now, as you would expect. It is getting a little bit late in the season, but they tend to be there all year, so a bit of perseverance will pay off. Some beautiful tail on a lake working those schools, and some very, very nice mulloway. Look, there's still quite a few krebs around, but I reckon you've got to be in that deeper water due to this fresh, and I'm hoping that we don't get an influx of fresh water like they are up on the mid and far north coast at the present moment, where they're getting basically hundreds of millimetres of rain. So look, all being fair, a good weekend to fish. It will be a little bit bumpy, but those lightish type winds for the offshore angler, I don't believe are going to be a problem. And the beauty of it is now is we're heading into that dark cycle. So tomorrow morning we've also got a high tide a little bit after 5:30, a bit after 6 on Sunday, and of course a low tide around midday. So you get that nice tide shift next, for the next probably 4 or 5 days as we move back into that dark cycle. This week's Zerek Fish of the Week winner is young Noah Kelly. He went out on the lake and he's been listening, and he took his dad with him, Chad, and they've got out there and able to catch a few of these squid that are in some big numbers at the moment. Pop a squid over and caught a beautiful 79 centimetre mulloway. Well done, Noah. I know you've had a good teacher, but it is good to beat the teacher now and then. Come on down to Fisherman's Warehouse and pick up your Zerek fish traps. I'll see you next week. There's plenty of game fishing to be had.